And it's Joseph Michelli, planning to be with Horst Schulze today. Horst and I have been communicating back and forth right before the live stream. He, in his indomitably focused spirit, is out there doing good in the world today and is mobile and is having some connectivity issues. Joining us on the live stream, I'm so sorry, there's no bait and switch intended here. We will get Horst back on in a future episode, but the technology gods and the active life of this incredible leader all working together against us today. Good to have you. I will improvise in light of the last minute change of schedule, and I'm excited. I have things to talk to you about, even though I won't have Horst to engage today. One of the things I'd love to talk to you about is an upcoming book that will be released in December. And we can talk about the book. I'm sure between now and December, I'll talk about the book. Horst was actually interviewed for this book. So when Horst and I get together, we will talk a little bit about some of his insights. But this book is called Stronger Through Adversity: World-Class Leaders Share Pandemic-Tested Lessons on Thriving during the toughest challenges. So this is a book that I conceptualized about March. So I would love to just be able to share with you some of the backstory on how this book got created, but more in the spirit of how do you publish a book? Like, how do you write a book and how do you get it out into the marketplace? So if you're interested in that topic, stick with me. If you know somebody who's been wanting to write a book or has a book in them and just trying to figure out how to get it done, you can share this live stream with them. It'll be on replay and YouTube and Facebook and other places. Or you can reach out to them right now and say, hey, if you want to hear what's going on with it, please jump on in. We'll be glad to get your comments and share those comments in the context of it. Vic Keller joined us on LinkedIn, and Vic is in the book. Vic, oh my gosh, it's so exciting because people like Vic, who just happen to be trolling along, probably to hear the wisdom of Horst Schulze, shared their wisdom so candidly in the context of the book. And Vic is a serial entrepreneur. He has created so many amazing businesses, many of them in the automotive space. Now he's into transportation logistics and so many other business enterprises. But these folks were in the middle of the pandemic, and I contacted them and I said, how are you doing? How are you holding up? And what are you learning? And what are you affirming that you always knew about leadership? But man, it came in and it was proven true now. So they were just so kind, and they took time and they shared their insights. And so 140 of them did that in the context of this book. It's kind of hard to imagine that we got 140 interviews scheduled, a little over 140, a little north of 140. With people like Vic Keller, with Brian Cornell, the CEO of Target, Hans Vestberg, the CEO of Verizon, Michelle Gass, the CEO of Kohl's. I've got the CEO of Mercedes-Benz USA in the book, and Nicholas Speaks. Just so many people from so many amazing brands, lots of global brands, presidents of Microsoft and the like. So it was amazing. So here's the story behind the book. I'll kind of share with you how this happened. I was scheduled to write a book for McGraw-Hill about Godiva. Now, Godiva is a brand that I've consulted with for years, specifically around retail and how do you create the retail space. It just so happens Horst showed up. Hey, look, guys, you've been saved from having to hear me, because Horst Schulze, no sooner I take his picture off the screen than he actually shows up. There he is, Horst Schulze. Good to have you. You were having me wing it here for a minute, man. I was starting to worry.
How can you dismiss me like that?
Yeah, I knew. Horst, there could be like a herd of horses on your chest and you'd find a way to fight them off to get here. So
we had all kind of people involved here. People from AT&T to hotel, and everybody was involved, but I got in.
You know what it is? It only takes a hotelier to solve the problem. As soon as you get a hotel involved, that's good.
Nice to be with you, Joseph.
Good to be with you. Horst, I was talking a little bit about my book, for which you've actually been included, but I want to talk about your book. Let me pop that up for a second. See, that's the book that we should be talking about today. Excellence Wins. Horst Schulze is a lifelong friend of mine. I mean, lifelong in the sense that I've known you at least since 2006-ish, probably, when I started writing the new gold standard. You've been a mentor of mine. You've been a mentor to everybody in the field of customer excellence, anybody who's anybody, but I've had really good fortune to spend a lot of time with you. So let's talk about your storied career. You are the founder of the modern day Ritz Carlton Hotel Company. it is Horst Schulze. That's what they should rename it. Forget Ritz Carlton. Call it Horst Schulze Hotel Company. Tell me a little bit about how that all came about and how you moved over.
Let me break for a moment. And you know that after Ritz Carlton, I started Capella Hotel Company, which I sold a year ago or so. It was just the Capella in Bali was just rated #1 hotel in the world, and the company was in the U.S. publication #2 and in the Asian publication #1. So the company is voted basically #1 and the hotel #1. So the whole philosophy works, if it is Ritz Carlton or another company for that matter. So that's
yeah,
really
absolutely. And if anything, I think the beauty of Capella is that you could even push your standards of excellence up another notch. It wasn't quite as corporatized, maybe, of a brand as Ritz Carlton was, particularly because Marriott absorbed it. I don't think there's anything bad about it.
And we went in, but frankly, the expectation of the customers changed since we created Ritz Carlton. So in about 1998, I found that the expectation was changing. So I wanted, frankly, it went toward the market was changing into ultra luxury and luxury. So affordable luxury, if you want. And it was very clear Ritz Carlton was affordable luxury by that time, because, and partially my fault, because we had large hotels that also served conventions. And the ultra luxury customer doesn't want to be in a hotel where major conventions are. So I wanted to create the first ultra luxury hotel company. Now, mind you, there were great hotels. I mean, if you think about the Plaza Athénée in Paris or the Claridge's in London and so on and so on, there were ultra luxury hotels, but there was no connected ultra luxury hotel company. That's why I started right after the Capella Hotel Company. And
well, let's talk how ultra luxury can get. Would you mind doing one of those, like Robin Leach, the lifestyles of the rich and famous? Yeah. How chic of an experience might I had at one of your ultra luxury Capellas?
Well, let me first really tell you so that people really understand the difference. The difference between, like in Singapore, the Ritz Carlton, which is a great hotel, by the way, in Singapore, runs about a $400 average rate. We are close by. We run about $1,000 average rate. So there's a difference right there. But we do everything for you. I remember just right now a friend of mine who was staying in the Capella, and he checked in, tried to find Fox News, couldn't find it and went to a meeting. On the way, he went through the garden. And the gardener said, good afternoon, sir. I hope you have a nice day with us. And he said, well, actually, I'm disappointed. You don't have Fox News. He called me afterwards and said, I thought I was kidding with the guy. He went to his meeting. When he came back to his room, Fox News was on. That is ultra luxury.
So of course, that example, I mean, I think you can move heaven and earth for people if you have that kind of margin, right? I mean, doesn't it take margin to create that kind of anticipate phenomenal response, or can you do it even if you're running a down market business enterprise?
I frankly think I can. What I cannot do in a down level, we connect with every reservation. We try to connect with every reservation beforehand and say, what can we do for you when you come here? We don't have check-in time or check-out time. You can only do that in our type of hotel, and if you're not too large a hotel. So it's totally all about the customer, truly, and then making surveys, understanding the expectation of the customer, subconscious expectations and everything, and really concentrate about that customer. Now, frankly, you're right. I cannot do that in a Red Roof Inn. All that the margin is not there. But generally speaking, the luxury in the mind of the customer and excellence in the mind of the customer is how they're treated. And I can treat them with excellence and with caring and respect in any kind of level, on any level of the segmentations. I can do that in a Red Roof Inn or in Ritz Carlton. I can be nice. And that's really it, It really annoys me sometimes when saying this is more expensive. It's not more expensive. Yeah, you can do that in Ritz Carlton. You mean you cannot be nice in a Red Roof Inn and look him in the eye and say, I'm glad you're here, and respond happily when they want something different? That is the
and I think the dirty little secret is it's not like you're paying people tons more money as employees of these luxury hotels. They're getting paid commensurate with the industry. They're just being selected more carefully.
That's right. And more trained. And more carefully trained. I was staying last week in a hotel, in a luxury hotel. Luxury. They have a coffee maker in the room, and I used the water that they have there. Well, the next day there was no water. Now, come on. I walked. I'm not kidding. I'm very serious now. This is a well-known hotel. Everybody would know the name. I went very early to a meeting. Walked about by 20 people by the pool who were sitting at the buffet. Not one of them looked at me and said good morning. Now, what would it cost to look at me and say good morning, sir? Have a nice day. What would that have cost? Nothing. So it's really leadership. It's leadership.
Let's talk about leadership, because you are incredibly inspirational, but you're not easy, right? Can I tell you, you have really exacting standards. You let people know about your standards. You develop talent like nobody I know, and yet I think we sometimes get confused about what does it take to lead excellence. And I think that's why this book was so powerfully received in the marketplace.
Yeah, I'm amazing how successful it is. But Joseph, excellence is never an accident. It's always the result of high intent and hard work. My high intent, you have to establish a high intent as a leader. What you want to be. In the case of Ritz Carlton, when we started, we didn't have a hotel. We had 2 hotels in construction without name at the time. I joined that with a high intent, and I said, we will create the finest hotel company in the world. That's high intent. But then I had to ask myself as a leader, is that good for all concerned? Who's all concerned? The investors, the guest, the employee, and society. Once I could answer, yes, my intent here would be doing great service to everybody. The all intent will benefit dramatically if accomplish this. In that moment, I had no more rights to compromise it as a leader. You see, then people say, yeah, and he was a great guy, but he was very tough. Well, wait a minute, I had no rights to do anything else. The high intent simply was that we will be the best, which I know and I agonized would be good for all the employees, more opportunity, more income, more recognition, more respect, everything for the employee, for the guest, and of course for the investors. And for society, it would be a teaching moment to learn and improve their businesses. So I had no more rights to compromise that.
Horst, do you have any idea how much impact you had in your life? I mean, seriously, let me just give you an example. Here's somebody who wrote A True Legend. Here's someone else who writes A Mentor to Me. Love this man. Does that register with you that people have really been affected throughout your leadership?
Joseph, when I opened the hotel, and I opened every Ritz Carlton, every new one and every takeover. I mean, I remember coming back from Bali or from any hotel and sitting in a plane flying back to Atlanta, and I prayed that somebody got it, that I served somebody, because that's the ultimate award, to know that you helped impacting people in their search for excellence. That's the ultimate reward. I was hoping that. I'm still doubting it. I'm a boy from a little village. It's still in me. It's still in me. I still have the vision, the prayer that I do serve the industry, serve people in the industry.
So I have a clip of an interview I did with you. Oh, we were both young, Horst. We were young. And in it, I was interviewing you, and I was asking you about ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, and how you came to it. And you told me the story of, going to the hotel. But the thing that was really striking was the maitre d'. Yeah. And how at that moment in time, you're in charge of Capella. You've founded the modern day Ritz Carlton Hotel Company. And you tell me in this moment that you still have not reached the level of excellence as the maitre d' you ran across when you were 13. Can you tell a little of that story now that I have stole part of it?
It's simply the first day of work. I moved away from my hometown, 100 kilometers, which was far at the time in Germany, started working in this best hotel in the region. That's why I moved there as a busboy. And the first day, the maitre d' welcomed us, and he said, now, tomorrow I want you to be here at 7 o'clock, but don't come here to work tomorrow. You come here to be excellent in what you're doing. Well, of course, I went over my head in year 14. What is excellent about washing dishes, cleaning ashtrays, and so on? So, but after a while, I got it. And incidentally, in hotel school, typical German upbringing, once a week you go to hotel school if that's your business. I was asked to write an essay. We were asked to write an essay, what we now feel about the business. And something unique happened. That evening, I went back to work in a restaurant. The maitre d' walked into the restaurant, walked to a table. Now, he was a man of excellence. He kept on reminding us, be excellent. He walked to a table, and I realized for the first time, consciously, that the people on that table were proud that he came to them. I said, wait a minute, that's a reversal. They're supposed to be the fine ladies and gentlemen, we are the servants. I was told that. Now, that night I wrote my essay, and I named that essay, We Are Ladies and Gentlemen, Serving Ladies and Gentlemen. We can define ourselves like this maitre d' as ladies and gentlemen, or we are servants if we are not excellent at what we're doing. So for the first time in life, I realized I can define myself at work. That's where I spent most of my waking life. I can define myself as an excellent person like that maitre d' did. He had great impact on me, great impact. And you know, we all are the result of impacts people had on us. That's why you pray that your impact is excellent on others.
Well, you know, one of your imperatives is to listen to customers like nobody's business, like to know your customer better than anybody else knows them. Talk to me a little bit about how you came to know that. And, you know, I often say that the underlying value proposition of the Ritz Carlton is to create the home of a loving parent. And I think that is more than, I mean, it takes the ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen to another level, right? It's that, it's the emotional need state of the consumer you're trying to address.
Yeah, first of all, you know, we all talk about service in the service industry, and there are many banks, gasoline station, everybody one way or another is in service. What is service? Service starts the instant you make contact with somebody. It doesn't start a half a second later. And then it moves to complying to their needs and wishes. The moment you make contact, however that contact is, it may be on the internet, it doesn't matter. In that moment, it's not about you anymore. It's not about your business anymore. It's all about them. Now I have to concentrate, how can I serve them best for them without compromising what we do? Obviously not. How can I serve? It's all about them. And finally, it ends with farewell. In that service, if I can serve the way they want to be served, I have to know what I want. So we made thorough surveys. What does the customer expect from us? If you don't mind for a second here, think on your left side, if you look to the left, you see a lot of people. You see a lot of people. Those are your customers or your potential customers. If you look on the right, there are also a lot of people. Those are your employees. Now, if my employees, alignment, everybody talks about alignment and nobody knows what it is. If my employees understand what those customers want, because I told them, and then I create processes and controls and systems to be sure my employees can deliver those customers what the customer want, then I'm a good manager. I'm a good leader if I create an environment in which the employees want to deliver to the customer what the customer wants. That's the difference between management and leader. Management creates the processes and systems and all the stuff. Management figures out what the customer wants through systems and analysis and surveys. And
but part of that's critically important, Horst, because you imposed an incredible amount of management structure to get to the Malcolm Baldrige ×2, right? I mean, that is really important. We don't want to lose that point. You can continue. I just want to make sure people understand that Horst Schulze had a management system like very few people do.
Yeah, and this is, of course, I cannot hope that things happen. If I'm sitting in Atlanta in our headquarters, I cannot hope that the right thing happens in Shanghai. I have to make sure I have systems that are implemented and systems that measure if it happens. But in the meantime, I have to create an environment in which the employees want to do it. Not have to do it, want to do it. I submit to you, to listeners, to everybody, an employee who wants to do it will do a better job than the one that has to do it.
Wow.
So, and that's leadership consequence. That's the difference between management leadership. It is also one of those those buzzwords, leader. Now, leader creates that environment where everybody is aligned, not just say alignment. Alignment is every employee knows what the customer expects from us, and every employee knows the objective, the thinking, and the attitude of the company. That in turn is culture.
So Horst, let's talk. I have a quote here from somebody who I truly adore, Alicia Hanley, who's an incredible customer experience focused person. And she says, success is never success unless you have a successor. I think it's just a clever sort of line, right? You know, I remember you telling me that you used to have a bet going on that if a new general manager of a hotel came to you and you said, what is your plan for this hotel? And they're just new. If they said something like, well, we're gonna learn first before we start changing everything. I don't want to be the chef that changes everything on the menu the day I walk in. That you guys actually had a pot to give that person and that it took forever. Can you tell them more about that story?
That works when I worked in another company. We had the new assigned general managers all come to the corporate office, and we, the function vice president, told them about their hotel. Mind you, they were new, they may have come from the outside, or they were moved from Hotel A to Hotel B. So they came, we had a deal, and when they come in and say, all right, now that you're in Hotel B, between you and me, confidentially, how did you find Hotel B? Oh, confidentially, it was terrible. Now he came from Hotel A. We asked the guy that went to a Hotel A, how did you find it? Between you and me, it was terrible. Now, what they didn't know, we had $5,000 check in our drawer. And if anybody would have said something good about a new hotel and the old general manager, we would have given that to him.
And I think that's the point, is we're all on the shoulders of giants, right? I mean, we have to build on whatever the leadership strengths and deficits of the leader who came before us.
That's right.
But we should build on it, not just throw it out.
That's the point. They were willing to throw it out just to be different. That is not the sense. You have to look at it and improve and build a continuous improvement. Eliminate, yeah, fine, it's all there, but a mistake. Let me understand the mistake and let me eliminate the mistakes permanently rather than cost cut. By the way, this is a very important subject. The elimination of mistakes. And the experts say, and I know everybody will say, not in my business, but it has been studied over and over, that in a good running organization, there are 56,000 mistakes per million transactions. Now, that's a good running organization. Now, we don't know many of the mistakes. In my book, I write about a room service problem, and that's one of the typical things. If I eliminate a mistake, I improve my product and lower my cost. If we do that, our corporate office not force us into cost cutting, because that's what happens constantly. The corporate office sends an email, and so we have to save money. What do? We do the easiest thing. We take away from the customer. Let's eliminate the piano in the afternoon. After all, they don't come here for the piano. And let's take some flowers away. And in fact, maybe we can get cheaper soap. That's the way we work, which is sad and ridiculous. Instead of eliminating our own mistakes and keep the excellence and create a reputation, not destroy in the process our brand.
Well, there's two things to that. First off, focus on the mistakes. If I'm just giving the tangible, get your mistakes in order. Get those pain points out of the customer journey. Like, that's the core lesson. The other part about the soap and other things, I remember once having a conversation with you where you said to me, Joseph, I bet you could come into any of my hotels and save money, but I also bet you can't come into one of my hotels and create value. Do you know what I'm saying by that? Do you want to?
Sure, exactly. Anybody, I can walk into anybody. I mean, come on, I save money. And by the way, a fool from the street can walk in and eliminate the flowers, and he knows we saved money. But that's how we manage. Let's face it. Let's look at ourselves in the mirror. We are professionals. We have to improve the product for our customer while we become efficient. And that's the point in running an efficient and carefully organized organization. Yes, we were petty about it, but constantly concentrating. The real reason why we're here is to caring for people. This beautiful thing that we're there to give hospitality, instill well-being in human beings. What a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing when you say it. It definitely sounds it. I think more people need to understand that we are in the service profession, right? This is a profession. This is not servitude. This is a profession that elevates human lives. It could not be a more noble cause than service profession.
Beautiful. But that's what the phrase, ladies and gentlemen, servant, ladies and gentlemen, means exactly what you said there.
So, I mean, I'm telling you, people are writing in saying, wow, it's an honor to be here, just to be here in your presence, Horst. I mean, I think one of the beauties is getting this chance now with all the modern technology that enables us to be in places that, you know, Horst Schulze couldn't have gotten to all people all over the world as you can in a live stream today. How has technology changed your lifetime? I mean, thinking back to how you used to run a hotel versus how you're living your life today.
I mean, Joe, I remember sitting there in the late and beginning 80s and sitting there and said, how could we do so that when a customer comes in here, we immediately know what they liked. That if they walk into another one of our hotels, that when they check in, we know they like the floor, and they're like, how could we do that? How could we do that? And so many dreams that I had to have. And I'm looking in a company here, KYC, whoever heard a customer for life or something that keep your customer. And when I looked at their program, what I have, I'm so jealous that I didn't have that. I'm so envious. If hoteliers on the line, don't be mad what I say now. I said, of course, somewhat in jest. If I would have had that, I would have closed every other hotel company in the world. I would have had them all.
You almost did, Horst, in your own way, without much technology. You had, ladies and gentlemen, writing down on pieces of paper preferences that you were putting into computers under the Mystique system to capture a CRM long before it was cool and fashionable.
Long before. We did it by the hand, kept notes on the hand. When somebody went to cards. I mean, you know, and this dream, when I saw this, they gave a presentation, I nearly cried that because I didn't have it. How lucky you are to really have that means to truly care for your customer. Watch out, hoteliers. If the hoteliers on here, watch out. You're becoming a commodity. Pretty soon they check in with their iPad. They make a reservation on iPad, check into the iPad, go in the room with a check out. You don't even see them anymore. We become a sleeping commodity. Don't give up that easy.
All right, so we're going to talk about that blend. By the way, Jorge, who gave you the comment about being honored to be here, is in Colombia today. So you're communicating your message to those in Colombia as well as the west coast of the U.S. where I think you are today. Let's talk about that. You know, I think in almost every book I've written lately, whether it's Airbnb or it's the new one, I talk about kind of technology-aided, human-powered experiences, right? The technology is a tool, but the humanity of it all still has to happen in hospitality. The hospitality without humans doesn't make sense. Can you help me with that?
Well, clearly, the technology should aid me in serving and caring for the guest more in a personal way. It moves. It moves. You look here. What is service again? What do the customer wants? What does a customer want? No matter what you buy. If you buy a hotel service or legal service or a bottle of water or a TV, you have the subconscious expectation of wanting the product to be defect-free. You want timeliness. You want it when you want it. Very important. And you want the people who give it to you to be nice with you and care for you. Those are the three expectations. Now, if I do, now I have to create processes behind that to be able to do that, of course. And now, but I bring that service to a next level if I personalize and individualize. That means I know you like chocolate cookies and I have them in your room. And all that individualization in many ways and person we are able because of technology. We were only in a very limited way able to do that. So now the technology enables us to do this superior to ever. So we can give individualized and personalized service now, not just market oriented. The market, we know what the market wants, but now we can individualize. And that's the beauty. That's why we should be so excited. And of course, all the other stuff, with staffing and everything, we can do so much better than before. That's why I nearly cried. I mean, I was so upset and sad that I didn't have that when I saw this KYC presentation. That was just blew me away.
Yeah, all that, and artificial intelligence, tracking preferences, being able to know what customers want before they say it. That was part of what you tried to do, was that anticipate. And so here's my version. Here's the way I say service. So tell me where I'm wrong, Horst. I'm always eager to be corrected. I always say service is a flawless product delivered exactly as a customer wants in an environment of caring. Flawless product, exactly as customers want, environment of caring. What do you think?
Flawless product, no defect, timely and caring. An environment around you that is pleasing, clean, and so on, so on. All those things, those amenities around you have to be right too. Because if you come in a room, it's not totally clean, no matter how nice you are, it's gone. In this case, the product kills everything. But on the other hand, if you then complain and they nicely return and correct it, they forgive you because you were nice. And this caring piece doesn't go away. That's the beauty of our industry. We give our heart and we make people feel good. What a beautiful thing. We still have more personal contact. Other than the fact that I said we're becoming a commodity. But if in that process, you look, no matter how well you do, I saw a presentation by Microsoft, in fact, pretty soon you can, with your intelligence of computers, you can predict when a certain guest, that guest will call for a Coca-Cola at 3 o'clock in the afternoon from his room. Well, wow. So I know that. So I know everything about him and I do everything for him. And then he leaves the room and the maid doesn't say friendly hello. Bang, it's finished. You destroy. It is
amazing how quickly trust erodes, isn't it? I mean, I don't trust that you care about me because that person didn't care about me. And then I start looking for all the other breakdowns that I might not have otherwise seen.
Yeah. That's it. We have to understand that this caring, that establishes the loyalty of the customer. Now wait a minute. Here is the thing. We also, another buzzword. Everybody talks about customer loyalty. And when I ask them, what is it? Nobody answers. It's very simple. There are 3 types of customer. There is a dissatisfied customer who is a terrorist against your company. Let's understand that. They're terrorists. They go on the internet, and then there's a satisfied customer. They're not yours. And then there's the loyal customer. They're yours. And by the way, 77% of loyal customers say, surveys, any business, they're willing to pay more for the same product and your product because they have become loyal to you. Why? Because loyalty means nothing else but they trust you. And trust is better accomplished in human contact than with a product. That's why that human contact, that service, that care is more important even than the product.
All right, I hadn't heard that distinction of terrorists, not yours, and willing to pay more. Yeah, I've always talked about squatters, renters, and owners of your business.
You haven't talked for a while. That's why you haven't heard it.
I got to get back up to speed. Thank God you made it on today. Technologically, I would have been dumb all day if it had not been for you. All right, so let's continue through your journey here. So you go through your, was it Hilton before Ritz Carlton?
Hilton Hyatt. I worked for Hilton first in the US and then for Hyatt. I was F&B, rooms manager, channel manager, regional vice president, corporate vice president. And then somebody said, we're starting a new hotel company. We have 2 hotels in construction. We want to create our own brand. You would be in charge of operations. You can you run the operation. It's yours. And I started dreaming, and I left my golden handcuffs behind to follow a dream. That's it. And it was.
And few people know that one of the big developers of that was a Howard Johnson kind of developer. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the guy that you would have thought would have built these high-end hotels. And you guys were the ones who actively worked with the family of Cesar Ritz to be able to get licensing rights, and they had troubled properties in Boston. And the story is fabulous.
The Boston belonged to an individual who got it as a golden parachute. We bought a hotel from him. We didn't want the name at all. We were working on another name, and to be precise, the Mark Hopkins in San Francisco. We preferred that, but we couldn't finish the deal with. So we had a second choice: get the Ritz Carlton. We closed the Ritz Carlton in Boston because it was a dilapidated, horrible hotel, horrible, but a great location. And we took the name because the name was rich. We were not that excited. That smart we weren't. We were not that excited about the name. But it was registered. We didn't have to study all over the world, lawyers and so on, but we have to work with the family then, go back to Paris, so we could use the name outside of the US.
Well, and you took that to Meteoric Heights. It became the brand standard for luxury. It displaced the Hyatt. Hyatt lost its way down market, I think. You guys just came in, blew the roof off. And then you went on to Capella, and you continue to change lives through consulting. Let's talk a little bit about your consulting service today. I know I sometimes follow you into gigs. You know, I'll do a consulting thing, and Horst has already been there, and I'm like, oh, crap, what am I doing here? But, you know, whether it's Mercedes-Benz or some of these other brands that I've worked with, you've been there. You've helped them kind of take, you know, I often say excellence to another level. Like, you think you're good, you're not so good. And I even titled this thing, When Good Isn't Good Enough, because you just keep pushing, Horst.
Yeah, well, my consultant really started about my idea, and I could see it. When 30 years ago, I was the son of the founder of Chick-fil-A. We were running together a race, and we did that a number of times. And after the race, mind you, that's 30 years ago when Chick-fil-A wasn't very large, he said to me, have you been in a Chick-fil-A? I said, sure. Dan, I mean, I've been in Chick-fil-A. He said, so what do you think? I said, well, then, you're the best of a lousy lot. And he said, oh, whoa, what do you mean? I said, well, let's go and look how your people look at somebody, how they talk to somebody. So I started consulting with them, and that's why they adopted It's My Pleasure. They became famous for it, which was a Ritz Carlton.
How do you get a 16-year-old to say my pleasure or may I refresh your drink? I mean, that's not something you see much.
Well, we concentrated on we concentrated on it. In fact, let me just say something about My Pleasure. I told them with all the vice presidents we were meeting, and the owner, Trude Cathy, was sitting in the back. And I told them, look here, we use My Pleasure instead of okay. But it doesn't fit your market segment. We should look for a simpler word, but not okay. Let's say, I'm happy to, or something like that. And everybody said, yeah, My Pleasure is too fancy. When suddenly the owner who was sitting in the back, mind you, that 30 vice presidents agreed with me, we shouldn't do it. The owner raised his finger and said, I like My Pleasure. And I said, well, Mr. Cathy, it's too fancy for you. He said, I like it. And suddenly everybody in the room liked it.
Yeah, it's amazing how when the elephant speaks, everyone listens, right? Let me say to you that you were not a fan of Okie Dokie at the Ritz Carlton, though. No. Say Okie Dokie, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you just a series. We got 5 minutes left. First, before we do this, can you tell me how people, is HorstSchulze.com, which I've got scrolling on the bottom of the screen now. That's a good way to get a hold of you if people want to learn more about your current services.
Yeah, HHS at HorstSchulze.com.
Okay, that's your email, HHS at HorstSchulze.com.
And we do consulting with all kind of companies, with some hospital companies and medical group, a bank, a REIT. I mean, number of people. I rather don't take any more hotels. I don't take any more hotels.
I won't even ask the reason for that. I thought you would still be hungry. Never mind. All right. Let me go through a bunch of questions that I'd like to just ask you for kind of quick answers. What's the love of your life?
The love of my life? Yeah. My wife. I'm married over 40 years and I'm still in love. And my children. And unfortunately, I'll tell you something that's in a personal way. Right now, one of my children is being operated on a brain tumor. And the family is the love of my life. There is nothing better. There's nothing greater. I wish I would have seen that in very early, but over the last 25 years, I must say, there's nothing better than family. And
so my blessings to you. I knew that. I didn't want to bring that forward. That was your story to tell. This is actually happening right in the next hours, right in California or something.
She's in operation like that now. It's a 5 to 6 hour operation. She started about half an hour ago. So I'm on the way to the hospital from here to be with her. Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're here, and blessings to her. And we'll be praying our little buns off.
Well, it helps me get my mind off it, frankly. So
good. All right, let's talk about other. Let me trouble you with other things. Oh, but one other quick point. In the new book that I have coming out, you talked to me about crying, and I actually put it in the book. How dare me, right? You talked to me about crying specifically around having to let people go. And you talked about the significance of the decisions leaders have. And I was so struck by that, because the great Horst Schulze, Mr. Horst Schulze, who's excellence at everything has high standards. He showed this real soft side of the pain, the humanity of him. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to let people go in big furloughs, like many hoteliers had to do in the course of this recent pandemic.
Well, I have to specifically think again, we had a selection process. And I did not allow anybody be hired that didn't pass the process. Except, of course, me. I could do it. Nobody was allowed to do it. So we needed 2 GMs, and I had 2 friends with whom I've worked. And I know they're very good workers. They're honorable, fine guys, hard workers. And I let them go through the system. They both failed, but I hired them anyway. The company who did it for us came to me and said, Horst, that's a big mistake. They will not fit into your organization. Well, wait a minute. I know them. I have a doubt about your system now and so on. But it didn't work. 2 years later, I had to let them go, both of them. And they were good friends. One of them, their wife, was a friend of my wife and so on. But that whole issue but I cannot compromise. If I compromise I compromise against everybody. I had agonized. I knew in my heart I'm doing the right thing for everybody here. Everything that I said, was that good for everybody? Everything I started new. A question, is this good for everybody? And so in this case, I would have compromised. I let him go. I was sitting at 3 o'clock in the morning on my bed and cried. I mean, every time we let somebody go, they're human beings, for crying out loud. We have to love them. We have to love them. But that doesn't, not at the cost of everybody else. I mean, why do you love your fellow human being? We happen to be here at the same time. I don't care who they are. You love them. That's the first thing. But that doesn't mean you compromise.
All right, I'm going to go through a few quick things. I just want a quick reaction. When I say a word, I just want you to react, okay? Mangianos.
Oh, well, a neighbor of mine, that's where people need. It's very easy, simple. So that's where neighbor of in my office. Thank you.
I know you often take me there. That's why. Cancer Centers of America.
I'm on the board for over 25 years because I had a serious cancer, and I'm the president of the hospital in Atlanta.
Biggest disappointment.
Well, people letting you down. And actually the biggest, and myself sometimes, my mistakes. That's the thing, guys, when you look back, the one thing you cannot avoid is you. And very disappointing.
Last one, the legacy of Horst Schulze.
Well, like I say, yeah, they can say that he was tough, but hopefully they also say that I helped them in their value setting and their setting of excellence in their careers and life, I hope.
Wow. All right. That was awesome. I will get myself back on screen so I can formally thank you. You're in our prayers. I am so grateful for you. The comments just rolling and scrolling have been how much you've affected people's lives. I know it probably more than any. I was a young green whippersnapper, and the great Horst Schulze took me under his wing and kept telling me how I could be better and was always a believer in me. And I cannot thank you enough for the love you shared with me and your wisdom and your greatness. So, you know, if there's ever anything, I say this to you all the time, and I can't even imagine you'd ever take me up on it, but if there's ever anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, you just met Horst Schulze. He, next couple of weeks, by the way, some amazing guests, Barbie Winterbottom, who's been a great HR leader, Dickie Smothers. Do you remember the Smothers brothers?
Sure.
Okay, Dickie Smothers is going to be on the live stream in a couple of weeks, talking about speaking truth, being honest, being authentic. They were so authentic, they got kicked off of primetime TV back in the 60s, but they spoke their truth. So we're going to have him on in a couple of weeks. So keep joining us for the live cast. Go and find out more about Horst Schulze. You can do that at his website. I've been posting it throughout. We'll make sure we do more of that. Here is his web address in case you want to learn more, and it's hhs at Horst Schulze if you want to email. So hhs if you want to email, but more information about that. There are people out there saying our team will be praying. This was so powerful and timely. Thank you, Horst, for sharing yourself so graciously. With that, I will wrap it up. And thank you, Horst, for participating in the new book, by the way. And let me just make sure that there's no other business. Nope. In that, I'll say bye to Horst Schulze, and thank you for being with us.